Hi, Angie Clunk here, Lakewood resident. I wanted to just make this video because there have been a lot of videos out there. There's been a lot of news coverage, packed board meetings. If anyone is confused as to why people seem so upset, so passionate about this, it's because we really care about our community. We really care about Lakewood. Our school district has a huge budget. It's a lot of money, and it's our money for our kids, for our schools. So you better believe when changes are being made, we're going to want to have a say. We want to make sure the best decisions are being made. We are not just an angry mob of people who want to get our way. We want to take in the data and the information we're given and the problem that's there and find solutions. And unfortunately, from the start, a lot of people feel as though the task force situation was unfortunate. You know, hand-selected people by the superintendent for this group who were then given some multiple choice options. I'm sure their intentions are good, and the school board's intentions are good, and all the task force members, like, we appreciate all their time and work. It's just, given what they were given, you know, we don't have this open opportunity with more differences of opinions being taken into place and to be able to think outside the box. And so because of that, there's a lot of concerns that some of these things were selected and done a certain way with an end goal in mind already. And that's why people are hesitant about the information that's out there. You know, not believing anything they're saying or thinking that all these people have bad intentions. But again, these issues are going to impact us, our community, even people who don't have kids in school, the kids themselves, the teachers. So we're just really trying to make sure that this decision, which is a pretty big decision, is made right. And as beloved task force member Jason Kyber said, the district has to meet a high threshold to close a school, let alone 2 or 3 or whatever. We haven't met that. And that's why people are upset, because it feels like this is just being pushed along and we still haven't met that requirement that's there, which I think is reasonable and understandable. You know, I reject that the talking points of change is hard. Northeast Ohio and Lakewood specifically has long been open to change and welcoming to change. So I can tell you pretty confidently that's not the issue. It's not just that we want to not go to that school, but we want to go to this one that's a little bit closer. That's part of it, obviously, but that's not the only reason. There's a lot of other issues and factors. We're open to change. We're Lakewood. We're progressive and have been that way historically. So I sort of reject that talking point and don't want to hear that again. And I don't really want to perpetuate that anymore. We want data that backs up the problem and actually will fix the solution. For instance, closing Lincoln, which is right next to LCA, seems like not a strategic move and not a smart move. Majority of people in this area could potentially just send their kids now to LCA. And they have the right to do so anyways at all costs. But if we are talking about making sure our enrollment is as high as possible in public schools, that may be not the best move. Maybe something like what LCA does is pre-K, and they only have one building because they don't have the enrollment that the public schools do. Why don't we have pre-K in all the schools? They're in most of the schools. And if that's what we're trying to do, is get all of our community members to fill up all of our buildings that we have, we can just make sure that we're catching them at 3 and 4 years old, and they're getting ingrained in that society, and they're getting ingrained in that community, and they're meeting the other people in the area who say, yeah, this school is great, I love it. And that's where they're going to end up going forever. So redistricting, which again hasn't been done in a long time, and you know, maybe not having a centralized pre-K center, but having them in all the schools seems like the lower bar that we could reach easily, and we could all be in agreement with that. The biggest thing I think is we all need to take a little bit of a break. You know, it's not this group against that group or this person against that group. We're all one community, and we need to work together. We need to truly hear each other out. We need to vote in November for school board members. I know that there are 2 young women with young families in the Lakewood School District who I believe will make really great decisions, you know, on the strategic, financial, business sort of side, but also the emotional and community and well-being side. So make sure to vote. Let's mix up this school board and make sure that the school board is actually reflecting what Lakewood is. So have a great fall. See you guys at the polling booths.